All right, reading this damn comment. All right, this is what I see. Hold on a second. Come on, man. If you're gonna go. Damn. Anyway. So this is what I see. I see there's three different camps. And, this is kind of going off of the, is marriage obsolete? And I might make a separate video for that. But I see three different camps. Okay. So you got the first camp, which are, the body positivity, destroy all standards, everything men do, say, or think, or feel is misogyny or misogynoir, and they basically want this judge-free, anything freaking goes, type of society, but they always ignore the fact that, like, structures are going to collapse, right? They think that just the structures that they don't like are going to collapse, and that, the structures that are vital to society or vital to community are somehow all going to still stay and be erected. And I'm like, that's not going to happen. You're going to collapse everything because, a lot of those vital structures are predicated on, the aspects of, patriarchal society that you don't like. You know what I mean? Like, example, women will say that men are being sexist if they don't look at women, as equals. But then, let a man not protect a woman if some shit goes down. And he'll be all type of pussies and cowards and everything else. Right? And they don't make the connection at how him looking at a woman like she's incapable of doing X, Y, Z. I must be the actor because she has hypo agency or no agency, or she's incapable of doing something. It forces the man to have to act. He cannot put any of the burden of responsibility on the woman. All right. So that's the first camp. Tear down society, throw out the baby with the bathwater. And again, my prediction is they'll be sitting there saying, well, how come we don't get all this stuff? I'm like, all that stuff that goes with society that you threw out, remember? Right? Again, society may need reforms, but it doesn't mean you throw the baby out with the bathwater. These people are the radical people. That's what they want to tear everything down. They want everything to change overnight. And that's what and when I mean everything, I mean everything. Everything from, capitalism to hell, the way that men are even attracted to women, to making, Gabourey Sidibe the standard, everything. There's nothing wrong with women having multiple kids by multiple dudes. And, you should see her in the same light that you see some young childless woman, like retarded shit. Okay. Then you got the other camp, which is the camp that's on the, black women need to do better, and black women need to hold out, and, they should, go wherever they can to get the best deal that they can get, right? Which I can't argue with that. I don't disagree with that. The only thing I can say about that is I think that part of some of the issue is it kind of ignores the reality of, like, situations like Corona. You got black people walking around talking about, how they want a millionaire, or you got dudes that run around and talk about how, they want, some super baddie, but then, you get the whole aspect of, being able to hop the fence and what they can get over the fence. And, the whole, just the way that social media and mainstream media just work to where everybody thinks that everybody's going to get the best. Or at least they're going to get the best, and they don't care about what happens with anybody else. It doesn't matter whether it's, if the odds are, 1 out of a million, damn it, they're going to win the lottery. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just destined for them to win the lottery and, go off and, marry a baller, or for a dude, go off and marry, a woman that is, some supermodel or something like that. So the people that are saying, we want better, you got to take it with a grain of salt, because there's some people that just, like, they get so I demand the best that they're just completely unrealistic with the world. You get what I'm saying? Like, it's like, I'm not saying that you don't deserve the best, but you're completely unrealistic with the world. Then you get camp number 3. Camp number 3 is the one that they have no idea, like a couple things. And I guess I could put more than one camp in this camp, but for lack of confusion, the third camp is the camp that has already fucked up, made mistakes, and they want everybody to accept them at their diminished value. Right? They still want the best. They're right there with the hypergamous camp. They still want the best, but they'll be like, well, just because I have a kid doesn't mean I can't have a ball. And these are the women that'll go off and they'll grab on Sierra and they'll they'll be like the dudes that sit there and, well, Bill Gates dropped out of college, so all of a sudden, they don't need to go and get a degree or a skill set or anything that makes them marketable in the workplace. They don't need to do that, right? These will be again, the single mothers that'll have babies with whoever and then think that they're still a prize or think that they're still a catch to high value men. And then they'll, or my personal favorite, the ones that have, got with the wrong dudes, got with the wrong situation, and then turn around and then act like because they went through some shit, because life, threw them, even though it was in large part their own decisions, but life threw them, this messed up situation, that they deserve and feel entitled to a better situation, which, as I've said before, will come at the expense of somebody else. But that's irrelevant. It comes at the expense of the man. Regardless of what a woman feels that she deserves, if she went out there and got, Future's babies or whatever, and then she goes and she listens to the hypergamous camp, and yes, I agree with you 100% and co-signing. Again, not only do they think that they're supposed to jump to the front of the line or they're on par with the women who haven't made, any mistakes, they completely ignore the fact that their course correction is at the expense of a man who hasn't made any mistakes. Because as I've said before, where do you hear any of these single mothers talking about looking for men who already have children, right? A man who's, right? Like, in other words, you're not you don't, technically speaking, you don't deserve, especially before a childless woman, a man who is complete and whole and doesn't have any baggage and doesn't have a split household with his resources and his income. Because that's what it's going to be if he links up with a woman, that already has kids by somebody. It's going to be a split household. Half of his resources are going to his first child and half of his resources are going to his second child. So whenever a woman gets with a man that already has children from a previous marriage, unless he has just an insane amount of wealth, okay, she's going to feel that. She's going to be impacted by that, right? But women always can see it through that lens, but they can't see it through the lens of what it would feel like to be a childless man getting with a woman that has a child, and the fact that now your resources are being allocated to a child that is not yours, that is not biologically yours. And the audacity of male or female, anybody with children, to act like, them having a child is just inconsequential to the childless person. But these are the mentalities that we have going on out here, that just, they really just don't make a whole bunch of sense. From the extreme to the unrealistic, they don't make a whole bunch of sense. And they need to be called out, because a lot of the people that are bitching and filing complaints are not even in the position to bitch and file complaints. You know what I'm saying? They made their bed. They need to lie in it. A lot of these situations are permanent situations. They're not even fixable. You know what I mean? Once children are here, they're here. Or once, a reputation is tarnished or whatever, like example, like a woman that, everybody knows that, she's been she's for the streets. I'm like, chick, move. Unlike a woman that has a bunch of babies, you can start over. Just move and relocate and keep your fucking mouth shut. It's easy to do. But, people want to get into arguments about that. And then, like I said, you have the camp that just, says, nope, society is too fucked up and it doesn't let enough people in. And so therefore all standards need to be eliminated, and again, those women that'll be in the think that have already made a mistake and think that they're in the hypergamous camp, right? And think that they're on par with those childless women in the hypergamous camp, they'll sit there and eventually when people start rejecting them enough, they'll slowly transition over to the radical camp of we need to smash the patriarchy and, for Harriet, I'm with you. And, Aisha K. Faines, we're with you and smash the patriarchy. Yeah, ooh, Chachi. Yeah, we're all with you. All that shit. But the stupid thing is, like I said, there's so much hypocrisy in it. You know what I mean? Like I said about, Aisha with her attractive self, up there, smash the patriarchy and men's standards and misogynoir. But I'm like, but I noticed that you got your makeup on. You telling women it's okay not to wear makeup or not to be this or that, but you got yours on, right? It's all the standards that women do to look appealing for men is all a part of the evil patriarchy, but she still want to go out here and look cute. You know what I mean? Or women that'll go out here and tell other women, it's okay to be fat, but yet their weight's in order. They'll go out here and they'll tell other women that it's okay to be a baby mama and everything, but they ain't got no kids, right? And I don't know whether it's women like they feel like like, what if I fall in the trap? What if that ends up being me? I don't want to judge them because what if I fall in the same crocodile pit, right? And so you get that, or it could just be like these ideas of the sisterhood, or again being in support of women more than being in support of men, right? Even though these same women inevitably want to be with men or want to be chosen. Or especially, let a woman, I mean, perfect example is Cynthia G with the whole, jumping up and down about white women being obese when black women are the face of obesity, right? But, these are the women that will let you pick anyone. They'll sit there and they'll co-sign these women. Don't judge her, right? All that shit. Let you as a childless, sophisticated, well-to-do, put together, handsome, muscular brother, let you go and pick a woman that's got some kids over them, they'll go blow a gasket. Let you go out there and you pick a morbidly obese woman over them, they're going to blow a gasket. Hell, let you pick a bitch that they think that they're prettier than, they're going to blow a gasket. Even though when it came to, I ain't fucking with that chick. Don't you judge her. The problem is misogyny. This is just a part of the patriarchy. They get you to co-sign that, but they want to be with you and run happily ever after, right? But they'll be the main ones sitting there just like supporting pure fuckery, and you're like, why are you on my team or not on my team? Then when you label them and you put them in the box of, okay, you ain't on my team, we ain't fucking with you, then they get even madder or get more radical or whatever it may be. But I'm like, but you do want a man, you do want to be in a relationship, so why are you even on this bullshit? Why are you co-signing, these women? Why are you co-signing that? Because all that says to a man, like, you're waving a big red flag and the man's sitting there assessing that and he's like, okay, this bitch is out of her mind. You know what I'm saying? Like again, that whole idea of the sisterhood is so strong that women start going out here and operating against their own best interests because sisterhood comes first. And it's delusional. And then that's why, even right now, you see a whole bunch of infighting, with the women, even though I don't like to show it, but it truly exists. Because, once you start getting women from all these different factions that, that start, whether it's, one group of women attacking another group of women for, femininity and beauty, claiming that it's tied to the patriarchy or something like that, or you get, the single moms versus the childless women. That's where you'll start seeing all the infighting, or the women that want to come with being 300 pounds and want to say that, oh, you're fat shaming, you're a handmaiden to the patriarchy, telling women that they got to get their weight in order and whatnot, right? And so, the whole sisterhood concept really starts breaking down. And you start really starting to see, see the shit separate with the whole, you can't sit with us. And I don't expect the women that are, that are like the most normal in the bunch. I don't expect them to sit there and co-sign, men across because there's a lot of things that they have issues with that men do. So they're not going to, go out there and be like, oh, we fully support men. There's a lot of things that they don't particularly like, but they're willing to tolerate if they're getting what they want out of the situation. But even some of them are still kind of selfish because, they'll be like, well, I'm childless, I'm this, I'm that, but again, it's like, okay, yeah, you may not have all the bullshit the other women got going on, or it may just be your outward physical appearance. You look good, but your mind, you got the wrong orientation, thinking that they're supposed to run shit. Or you look good, but, like, what do you bring to the table? And I'm not talking about what she brings to the table monetarily. I'm saying, it ends up looking like the women are like, me, what's in it for me? I want what's coming to me, right? Again, going back to the whole, seeing other women suffer at the hands of dusties or brokenness or failed marriages and whatnot. And they're like, no, that's not going to be me. I demand this and I demand that, which I'm like, is cool. But number one, you got to be what the man wants. And then number two, you gotta be pleasant, cooperative, supportive, and all those things that men are looking for. If you're not that, then as far as it goes, like, I mean, beyond fucking you serve no purpose. I mean, literally, and again, women get confused where they, mistake, fucking for true interest and all that. And the dude just going to be smashing until he gets tired of it and then lets her go. And then that will, make her, again, rape and pillage because, let her tell it. She wasn't attracted to the dude. She didn't enjoy the sexual encounter. It was not pleasurable. She only spread her legs, because, her spreading her legs was in exchange for, a wedding and patriarchy and the benefits of patriarchy and all that other stuff, right? Like, that's all she got to do is lay on her back. There is no real, get with the dudes program and everything. And guys pick up on shit like this. Guys compartmentalize women. Jump off, girlfriend, main chick, wifey material, bottom bitch. Like, there's different categories of the shit. Because most of the time men are not going to forego sex. They still want sex. They still want romantic access to women, but that does not mean that a guy is saying like, oh, I want to be with this woman forever if he starts seeing red flags. He's like, no. She's good for this, and that's how I'm gonna keep it. She's good for this, and so that's how men navigate the world. But I'm just saying, like, these are the different the factions, and look, most men, I can't say. I don't know what most men particularly think on recognizing these factions. I would say that most men don't recognize most of these different factions, because if they did, you would hear more videos about it, and most don't care. Like, most just care, like, am I getting pussy or am I not? Like that's what they care about. Is she a bad bitch or is she not? Or they look at it like the things that they don't like about black women are things that like are just normal and they have to accept because they come from, they're black. They come from the black community and they see black women's behaviors as normalized. I've definitely come across my fair share of, black men that are, slightly older than me, and they act like this shit is normal. I'm like, this shit is intolerable. This is insufferable. I will not tolerate this bullshit. Just the same way that you have, the hypergamous camp women saying that they're not going to tolerate dustiness and they're not going to tolerate, men who are not, living up to their male responsibilities, which is why the smart thing for them to do is to, not have children with men that have not demonstrated, patriarchal responsibilities in male leadership, right? So again, you're not going to hear me speak against them, on that. Again, the issue, if they have any issue at all, is, some of the extreme, I must be with an absolute baller, it's just ridiculous, so, because they're so fearful of finding themselves in a situation where, they get with a dude and he's like got potential or marginally there, but then he never gets there, or for some reason the situation falls apart, and then she finds herself in the same boat as the other women that she criticized. That's in part why I think a lot of these women sit around co-signing, these less than ideal situations. Because, the idea is, well, ain't no telling what's going to happen dealing with a black man. And what if I end up in the same pot? Again, when you talk shit on your way up, just like Donald Trump is finding out, you're going to come across all those people that you talk shit on the way down. So, it's always better to be nice to everybody on your ascension. Right. But, and that's how, women are wired or operate. I can't explain it. I'm not a woman, but I definitely know, man, you go out here and you pick one of these women that are, just outwardly got something going on that is less than ideal, and you choose it over a woman that's been sitting around, watering her flowers, preserving herself. You know what I'm saying? Like, you pick one of those women, oh man, them women, you will hear some of the foulest shit that you will ever hear coming from, women who have preserved themselves. If you go out there and you choose what they would call some bullshit, over them. Oh, it's bullshit. When it comes to you choosing it over them, but are they ever going to come out and actually publicly say it's bullshit? Are they going to tell the other women, bitch, I think you're bull? No, they ain't never going to do that. They are not going to side with men and actually come out there and say it. But, I think in large part, this is where, some of this shit is unfixable, and how, things have just, they've just gone, so far off. Because, if I went back to, like, let's say we go back to, like, I don't know, 1950s, 1940s or some shit like that, black community, right? If some woman did something that was unacceptable in the community, okay, the people who are in their, the majority of the households that would be in that black community, the women, the men, everybody's going to be like, you fucked up. Like, they're going to side with it. But, like, in 2020, we have a community where there's more people who have made egregious mistakes. Okay, there's more people who have had to do their dirt in order to survive, especially the men with, hustling and all that other shit and catching felonies and everything else, that now we're at a point where everybody is giving everybody else a pass. Even though when they give it a pass, that doesn't mean that they're not judging it. That doesn't mean that they don't think negatively of it. It just means that they're giving it a pass because they want a pass to be given, for their, all of their shortcomings. Okay? But it doesn't mean that anybody particularly likes it or cares for it. They just give it a pass because they're like, hey, I don't want anybody fucking judging me on some shit. But the issue is I don't know how you can repair or heal the community from that standpoint. You know what I'm saying? Where everybody's so concerned with being judged, like they don't even tell the next generation, like, yo, I fucked up. Like, don't follow me in my footsteps. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody who's made a mistake should be saying that, but they don't say that because they don't want to be judged. They don't want to be excommunicated. They don't want to have to go through the rest of their life, considering themselves less than. So in my toxic masculine opinion, I think that that's extremely selfish. Because what people are doing is they're like, well, my existence is more important than the existence of future generations. Even when they're well past their prime, they will not share the information and say, hey, leave us alone. And then maybe we could turn some shit around. Obviously, with the inclusion of, the ideas of, creating networks and, trying to set up, our own shop in terms of business and access to capital and reparations for slavery and all that stuff that the ADOS conversations are having. You know what I mean? But this is where we are. A lot of the scandalous shit that goes on in the black community would have been unacceptable in Tulsa, Oklahoma, Greenwood. It would have been unacceptable. in thriving, intact black communities that everybody loves to romanticize about. It would have been unacceptable. You would not be able to go out here and just do whatever the fuck it is you want to do. But in 2020, since there's so many people walking around, with scarlet letters, what I'm saying? Now, if you don't have a scarlet letter, you're the asshole. And this is why you have people that are saying, well, you know what? I don't have a scarlet letter. I don't believe in y'all walking around normalizing scarlet letters. And then I'm going to go over and go into another community where they have less scarlet letters, or at least they haven't embraced the idea of normalizing scarlet letters. And they say, I'm going to go over there. And you know what the response is going to be? Oh, they're a coon, they're Uncle Tom. Oh, they think that the white people are better, and they think the white man's ice is colder, and the white woman's ice is colder, and and they get all mad like that. But I'm like, can you blame them? When people are trying to normalize pure fuckery? Or even better, where you get the people that try to drag you down into their fuckery. Because misery loves company, and the best way to get you to not judge them is to get you all fucked up and entangled, get you involved in some entanglements just like they're involved in some shit. Because they do not want you out. Look, even without you even saying anything, you just simply existing without a scarlet letter makes them feel bad, because they know what the standard should be. Every black person knows what it should be. But unfortunately, due to, the socioeconomic decline in the black community, and people, basically, the world only, freaking, you can only be as good as the world allows you to be, and the situations that, generationally, the parent fucks up, and then they let their kid get fucked up, and then that kid lets their kid get fucked. And then so, you just have this vicious cycle of this situation. Until you get down to basically nothing. There are no standards. And then this is where people try to come up, and then you got I was arguing with this dude underneath Dennis Sperling's page. This dude's like, well, black people, the problem is we fell out the graces of God. We broke the covenant. And I'm like, and so they start getting magical with it, right? And that's truly the brink of hopelessness. Right? Because in other words, you don't see any worldly way of turning this around. So then you start diverting to the Bible and the Torah and the Quran and Hotep and the Most High and all this magical shit, when this shit could be fixed if people, did what they were supposed to do and acknowledge their quote unquote sins and what they did wrong, and say, hey, I fucked up. Don't follow me in the footsteps. Let me help you and try to make sure that you don't make the same mistakes that I did, because I didn't get help when I was coming up. And that's part of the reason why I ended up falling in the trap that I fell in. You know what I mean? Like, this whole kids out of wedlock thing, this has been going on forever in the black community. There should be no reason why this shit is still going on. No reason, but yet and still, people just out here popping fucking babies out like it's a goddamn Pez dispenser. So, this is where we are. And so people, they go and if we just get right with God, all this will turn around. Getting right with God is not going to magically make economic opportunities pop up in the black community. And now all of a sudden, all these young men that got babies to take care of now got $65,000, $70,000 jobs to freaking live a comfortable living with dignity. Okay, y'all too magical with it. Oh, if we get right with the Lord, then salvation will come. Yeah, and lightning bolts will come down and smite white supremacy, and Jared Taylor will drop dead. Yeah, okay, whatever. Get real. Get real. Some of y'all quick to go to some magical system as opposed to, recognizing and understanding how capitalism and the banking system actually fucking works. Y'all want to go and y'all want to study, some magical scripture as opposed to getting your education, getting real knowledge on. I know the brothers be out there reciting shit on the corners and whatnot. And I'm like, why don't you learn, what freaking, dividends and derivatives and shit are? Like, why don't you learn what that is and teach the rest of us? Since you want to teach so goddamn much, since you want to proselytize so much, why don't you proselytize some damn calculus or some damn math or some shit that we can actually utilize to get ourselves out of this situation? Why don't you go proselytize that shit, Nooka? But nah, they ain't gonna know. It's gotta be magical, Hotep, freaking, stars, rainbows, laser beams. I mean, everything you see in the Lucky Charms box, man. It's retarded. Anyway, that's all I gotta say. That's all I got for you. That's my video. SWP out.